Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thankful to have you. If you have been watching me for a while, I also greatly appreciate that. Uh, I have been starting a new, well, I've been starting a series. This channel is new, so everything's technically new, but I'm starting a little mini series where I talk about fandoms that I've been a part of ever since I was a wee little girl all the way up to now. I'm in fandoms now, and so I'm going to be sharing what I'm interested in now. And some of the stuff is a case where I'm like still in the fandom, and some of the cases is a, like it's either cemented who I am as a person or has been influential in some part of my childhood. So it I guess nostalgia is a good way to put it. And uh today's video I'm going to be talking about still in the early phase of my childhood, and I'm going to be talking about one of the three fandoms that kind of were like at an arms race with each other at during this time. And the first one I'm going to be talking the first one I talked about last time was Barbie, and this time I'm going to be talking about a series called Bratz. I've noticed actually that like a lot of merchandise, particularly I think it's a case of kids growing up, like a lot of merchandise of t-shirts and makeup are coming up, which I mean shocked me, surprising me. I'm sure I'm part of the demographic towards those stuff because it's supposed to be like a case of like before girl boss was a term, more of a power feminine figure type of deal because Barbie was supposed to be uh very girl like cutesy sweet, whereas they were trying to be represent more older femininity but still gorgeous. um I got into Bratz through my friends, whereas beforehand I was kind of getting fandoms based off of like I was raised into it because my parents showed me it, whereas this was I started making friends, and my one of my friends had tons and tons of Bratz dolls and Bratz merchandise, basically. And I thought it was so cool, and I uh, basically wanted to get stuff of my own based off of it. And my parents, whenever they got money, were able to get me Bratz dolls, and I would entertain myself for hours making up stories. Particularly, I was like the director in making a little mini story with the Bratz dolls, which I sometimes would add the Barbie dolls into it, but I was mostly playing with the Bratz dolls. And I mostly connected with the character Yasmin, and I know there were four girls, and I remember three of the names out of the four girls. Um, Girl with blonde hair, Caucasian, Chloe, um, brunette girl that I'm not sure is. I think she was supposed to be Latina, Yasmin, but also that name. I'm realizing that might not be the case, but then there's the girl with I'm not sure. I think it's dark brown hair and is black, and her name's Sasha. And then there's the girl with black hair that I don't remember her name too, and I feel bad. But those were the four, and out of the four, the one that I connected with the most was Yasmin. Basically, she had brown hair like me, and so I automatically was like, she's like me. She's the one that I like thought was cool and wanted like kind of put myself onto her a bit. And I um I used her name and passwords in the past, not anymore, but like she constantly comes up in mind because I used her character a lot to symbolize me. And um because I got attached to one of the characters, I requested to be able to also watch movies because my family was big on movies, Star Wars, Harry Potter, um, Barbie, etc., etc. That I wanted to also watch movies that the Bratz series made. And my parents rented them out because they were kind of iffy on the series. And I have very big memories on multiple of them. There's this Bratz Babies one. I don't even remember the name to it, but it's basically where these potato aliens come to Earth, and somehow it's the Bratz girls that they run into and try to fake being them to their grandma that basically is blind and uh like she somehow can cook potatoes and still do it perfectly, but she is blind to how they look, which I'm realizing how insulting that is. But it in this, the babies had to figure out how to basically get rid of the aliens before they took over the world, which is funny because they basically just scared the potatoes into realizing that humans eat potatoes. So they're like, they're gonna eat us if we try to take over this planet. We have to run away. And that was, I remember that one. And I think that might have been one that we actually that we bought because I remember watching it multiple times. And if so, we've lost it by now, and it's the only one that we did buy. There's this one that we rented out that was horror story based, and my parents are saying this is like in the beginning phases of me getting into the Bratz series, and my parents said, "Hey, you'll need to actually like purchase it for yourself. We can help you with the transitioning, like getting it purchased, but you have to pay it for yourself for this rental to watch it." And I was down. I saved up. I was able to work on money, save up, and uh, rent the movie out. And I was little enough, or maybe uh, innocent enough. I don't know the right term for it. That those ridiculous little scary stories just scarred me. And not in the sense that like, and I think it was like one of the characters actually got murdered, and it was Yasmin, and because of that it just petrified me because I was so close with her. I might have gotten the story wrong, it might be another character, but the thought of either being killed or losing someone just terrified me. And so after that, I kind of slowed down on watching Bratz movies altogether, and I watched some here and there, but I don't remember them that well. I feel like they were very cheesy, not in a sense bad, but cheesy. And uh, and then there's a live movie that came out a little while later. And as I was watching it, I was getting a little bit older, so I was starting to like be better at making like connecting storylines, spot dots, and it felt like it was trying to have the cutesy aesthetic of Barbie. And mm, I understand they were trying to market toward kids, and because of that, they didn't want to do anything dramatic. But they already were putting in like pretty intense like backgrounds for the girls. Like one of the girls, her parents are divorced, so she has to switch between the two parents. And then with another one, um, either her parent was dead, or so they had to like she had to work extra in order to help out with the family, or um like basically left the picture, one of the two. And I thought that was really cool. they barely touched on it. In fact, they just used it once to like make a snide comment. Well, it was one scene where they were all fighting with each other, and that's when those topics came up. And it was very much a case of it was supposed to be a cutesy teen like teen show or movie where they're trying to still be friends even with the conflicting situation of high school. And so it was cute and it was a good movie, but I had put up high expectations. I I mentioned this in the Barbie movie where I had high expectations for a movie and it let me down. And I felt like I could have written something better at the time. So when I watched it, I was like, okay. But afterwards, I kind of, at that point, I kind of like left the fandom. Not that I left my dolls in particular, but I left the fandom of the series. So I got. Oh, I should also explain to you the one of the movies that I watched was a fairy one that I mentioned earlier. How it was a case of there's this new girl and she was the evil fairy queen, and or like a fairy rebel or something, and there's a family that actually was fairy royalty, and they had a huge fight to save the original Bratz girlfriends, all the friends that of Bratz girls. I don't. It'd be funny if they were all girlfriends, but that and I loved that movie in particular. I thought that was cool. It was a case of like introducing the topic of friends and family and like chosen family and versus uh like born family, and that you can choose your original family, but you also have to be careful of people that are trying to manipulate you. Super cool. Great stuff. Um that one really stuck out with me because I got a Yasmin doll and like I moved the clothes around a lot, and so I was able to give her the wings, like back wings of a pixie character, give it with her, and I like would pinch at her stomach and her back so the wings would stay on, and put on the pixie clothes onto her and would play with the doll, and she was my main character. So had tons of fun with her and creating story plots, and I would for like years make sure to keep the back pinched and work with it, whereas later along the lines I just dropped it entirely. Then hmm I'm bringing I brought up some of the more things on the list that aren't connected with Bratz, but more so because it existed, stuff happened. Like for example, uh when I was little, I put Yasmin as my password. Particularly, it was Yasmin and then one of my favorite numbers at the time. And then later on, my family would rescue cats and in the neighborhood that we were in. And it was particularly my dad was allergic, so we couldn't keep them. But we would take cats, train them so that they would be okay with humans, to be friendly, and like help them be comfortable in an indoor environment, and then gave them to to a pet shelter. I'm not sure, and afterwards we had no clue what happened to the cats. But there's one family in particular where we rescued the mom. She was pregnant, and then she had four babies, and because they were all of like they all looked different and looked very much like the Bratz dolls, like in different contexts of fur, that we actually named them very different things. And Sasha and Chloe, probably why I even remember those names actually, were two particular cases of I guess, interesting. Chloe grew up to become a normal cat in society, like normal and friendly with humans. And one of my parents' friends actually took that cat, and she loves bats and just is great with people all around. And so we get to finally know that we helped her be okay with humans, and then we had friends that took her in. And then Sasha, it was actually the opposite. Her mom, the case where cats' moms don't like them, she let that cat walk away, and because it was in my bedroom, it snuck in between a section of the back of the cabinet and just got suffocated to get death. And I found out while I was stuck, and I was trying to free it, and I was trying to get my parents to come help me to free it. And by that point, it had died. And my dad, who was not very big on pets or the whole thing that we were doing all together, fondly thinks fondly of that cat because it was basically brown with like multiple different spots of different unique textures to the fur of that cat. Just felt unique, and it kind of broke his heart having to get a baby cat, not even like able to technically be by itself, just get stuck and die and had to take the corpse as I cried. So, yeah, that huge part of my childhood. Am I really a part of the fandom? Sorry about that. Uh, am I a part of the fandom now? Not so. It more gives me nostalgia. Uh, the Barbie movie was able to help me appreciate Barbie again, whereas the Bratz haven't really done anything yet. If they did make a movie to cater towards an adult audience, I would absolutely love it and give it a shot. And I will. That that's really it. So I'll let you go. Bye.